Welcome back to our discussion on Toyota Production System. In this video, we would explore further the concepts of Jidoka, Poka-yoke, Heijunka, and Kaizen, the four uh, aspects of quality at source. And then we will talk about the 5S: Seiri, Seiton, Seiso, Seiketsu, and Shisuke. These are the considerations or methods or ideas or thinking that would help us to achieve lean, right? So in Toyota Production System, this is to eliminate muda, muri, and mura. We know those are good. We want to do those, says Toyota Production System. The question is how? So here, these are some ideas for us to consider. So let's focus on the first idea about Jidoka. All right, so the kanji for Jidoka is Jidoka, and it is not to imply some sort of automation or animation, but to strictly describe this concept, which is to automatically stopping the process whenever something, whether big or small, is wrong or some accident occurs in the production line. All right, so the main thrust of this Jidoka idea is that stop the entire production line whenever there is some sort of a problem occurring anywhere on the production line. Now, let me just give you a feel of what the severity of that is, or why this is so unimaginable, unthinkable, right? So in a production line, if you can imagine items being produced at a very rapid rate, right? Ka-ching, 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 here comes the profit. When you stop the production line, what does that mean? Your FR goes to zero, and therefore your profit input goes to zero. So the ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching immediately stops. Of course, the upper management will be mad, right? Who stopped the production line, right? What happened again, right? So says the top management angrily. Well, that's never going to be Toyota's top management. Toyota's top management says to have quality at source, you need to have Jidoka. That means if anyone should spot any problem, right? It's not that the defect has occurred, but just potential problem or some jamming, which is serious, which is or some accidents or whatever, however small, right? You pull a string, or there's a red button, right, for you to press. For that, any worker, any line worker to press. So you can press that button, and then it will stop the entire production line. And that's the kind of treatment, right? TPS, Toyota Production System, pays to even the smallest incident that may occur on the production line. Also, stop the entire line, because philosophically, TPS thinks that it is better to eliminate the problem, even if it is very small and may not seem to have caused any damage, to better eradicate that problem now, right, than to allow it to fester, amplify, and then eventually maybe cause even more damages. So that is a philosophy that you cannot really prove, right? Because it's got to do with probability, it's got to do with being careful, right? And it's got to do with why can't you fix this problem fast enough, right? Within the cycle time, fast enough so that everybody can continue, right? So please think of the whole. You can blame, you can run a blame game on the line worker, but would it help? Right, not? Yeah. So the line workers, you must have some faith that they are trying to do their best, but sometimes, right? Remember, some heavenly gearing will ensure that something will happen, right? unexpected incidents will happen. Then what are you going to do? Press the red button, which will stop the entire production line. So this is the Jidoka concept, which is to make sure, right, that from top to bottom, especially the top management, believes that the entire process must be stopped in order to fix that issue so that there will be quality at source. You don't want to have a molding machine that already the worker has found the mold to have some kind of a dent, which will perhaps create, you know, odd shaped kind of bread, right? And you don't want that to fester, to magnify, to keep on producing that kind of defective shaped bread downstream, right now, yeah? So you want the worker to have the confidence and the lack of guilt, so to speak, right? To press the red button and stop everyone. There shall be no scolding, there shall be no blaming, right? Everybody should just focus on what happened, how can we help, how do we fix it, rather than who pressed that button again, there goes our bonus again. You see that contrast, right? So different managements will result in different reaction and different fear in the worker, and the lack of fear, the confidence to press the red button and stop everyone, to focus everyone's energy and talent and skill and observations to solving this tiny little problem, right? It's like gathering all minds to solve one simple problem is, of course, much more effective than to have the worker panicking. This is not my problem. I didn't cause this to happen, and then trying to quickly cover up by finding some inappropriate temporary solutions, and you can imagine, right? So the problem might just be worse. So Jidoka is that very concept to say allow the line workers to stop the whole process. So this is a very major thing that is in some sense also empowered onto each and every worker. All right, so that's the concept here. Again, if you ask for proof that this is better than quickly solving it, temporarily covering up the problem or whatever, difficult to prove. So you just have to kind of have a faith in that Toyota knows, right? They have gone through this many, many times. Jidoka is one way to ensure you don't run into quality issues. Next is about Poka Yoke. Poka Yoke. Poka Yoke. Yeah, I think here the English is describing what it means. And basically is to say that at the design stage, right? At the design stage, the product should be mistake proof, fail safe, right? Fail safe is not in terms of the safety kind of safe, but the usage is proper. The thing, I mean, in short, is like you can use the product without reading the user manual. So that goes into the design of most apps and websites these days, right? That you shouldn't be needing to read, to have read the manual, then you can operate this app. Oh, you don't know how to log in? You didn't look at page 59, right? And under paragraph 3, it is stated that you should type first a capital letter, then, it should be mistake proof. It should be guiding the user, not so much in terms of screen guides, but if user were to do the wrong thing, right, it should, or the system or the product should either prevent you from doing that so that you, in some cases, are safe from facing explosion, from being electrocuted. And by that, I'm sure you would have thought of in Singapore, right? And I think in UK, the power plug is a 3-pin plug with the earth wire on top. And of course, if you let the 3-pin face you, right, either the user or the electrician, the 3 pins will have a left-right configuration so that the live and the earth wire, they are going to the appropriate pins, and the earth pin is always standing out. It's always the top pin. So this is a mistake-proof design, because why is the earth wire so outstanding? Why must it form a triangle like being the top pin? Because it's going to stand out. It's going to stand out, right? So it's mistake proof to the electrician, who might be some foreign workers, or who might be, you know, um, electricity certified, but they couldn't read. They can see the color, they can see the shape, so they couldn't read much. They know this is yellow color, this is brown color, this is blue color, and so this is earth, this is life, this is neutral, and they know where to connect the wires without making a mistake. Because what if you make a mistake? Boom, right? Electrocuted. Yeah. What about users? When we plug the socket in, it is impossible to make a mistake right now, because if you turn it upside down, you cannot the socket cannot get in. If you flip it around, there's no way to flip it around. There's just no way to plug the wrong way in, and therefore the live and the live wire will connect, the earth and the earth wire will connect, the neutral and the neutral wire will connect properly, uh, forever, wherever. And that's the kind of Poka-yoke concept. All right, so it's not like it is uh, unique to Japanese culture or Japanese manufacturing, right? So the three-pin plug obviously wasn't invented in Japan. Japan uses, I think it's two-pin, right? So we can flip back and forth. It's not really Poka-yoke, but then it's fine. Even if you flip it, there's no explosion or whatnot, so it is okay. But in UK, it is three-pin. So the Poka-yokeness of this UK design of the three-pin power plug, right? It is, kind of like required to make sure that it is safe for usage. Except in Toyota production system, Poka-yoke becomes a term, becomes a conscious quality factor or methodology, right, to ensure that you always make quality products. It becomes a point, right? Something that the Toyota production system people must pay attention to. Not that because this particular designer is very smart, is very user friendly, could think ahead, due to the goodness of the designer. But then the next designer didn't have this flavor, didn't have this characteristic, and so Poka-yoke goes down the drain, right? No, right? So Toyota production system says this is part of our system, right? To have a Toyota car means there will be Poka-yoke, there will be fail-safeness, there will be, like, to put it in a more slightly unfriendly way, idiot-proof, all right, usage of the product. Think about USB thumb drive, right? It is polarized. That means you have to insert in certain ways. However, of the millions of users of USB thumb drive and the associated USB devices, we notice that it is impossible to make a mistake, because if you flip it the other way around, it is just not possible to insert the socket at all, right? Now think about USB Type-C connector, right? In the more recent days, Type-C connector is also cleverly designed, but it is Poka-yoke not in just mechanical design. It is Poka-yoke all the way down into the electronics and the circuitries inside. That when you insert one way, right, it is plus and minus, but if you insert the other way, it is minus and plus, right? So it's wrong, but the electronics will be able to kind of flip the signals back to say that, fine, user has inserted the wrong way, I will invert the interpretation of the plus and minus signals so that I can do the right communication between the devices. So mistake proof, and if the user inserts the wrong way, fine, no problem, right? For Type B, the earlier generation, it wasn't done at the electronics level. So plus has to connect to plus. And you notice that the USB Type B, the older generation of USB devices, you'll find that they have a more like a a kind of asymmetrical shape. Okay, so that one side is wider than the other side, and if you should insert the plug the wrong way, it's just impossible to insert. That again is a Poka-yoke design. Now, of course, all these can happen because thanks to the designer who is very conscious of, whoa, what if user insert the wrong way? Then there'll be a lot of unhappiness, burnt devices, and all that, right? So let's better think of it this way. But then for Toyota, what's so special about this is that they put it up front and central, right? It is a checklist item. You have to have Poka-yoke or else. You're not Toyota, right? So this is a front and conscious point to note, Poka-yoke. So think in your life, have you been designing or producing Poka-yoke stuff? Okay, you say no, I haven't been, designing electronics or electrical products. What about your homework solutions? If you're required to write an essay answer, is it Poka-yoke to the grader? Right? So think about that. What does that mean? That means, could your answer be interpreted the wrong way by the grader, whether accidentally or intentionally? Usually unintentionally, right? You say one thing, but the grader thought of it as another thing. In other words, your answer is not Poka-yoke. Your answer is very prone to misinterpretation or incomplete inferences that the grader cannot give you full marks. So Poka-yoke can go into your production of answers too, right? So make it mistake proof, right? When you design these systems, when you formulate your answers, write in a clear manner, or in ways that cannot be misunderstood, or in ways that are not incomplete, right? So that you get the highest marks ever. Next, let's talk about Heijun-ka. Heijun-ka, right? Heijun-ka. Heijun-ka is to equalize, is to average out. That's the raw, crude meaning. Heijun-ka, Heijun-ka, right? To average it out, to level it out. They say level out the production, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? Let's say Toyota receives orders, right, from Japan, various prefectures, and also overseas. So it consolidates and then it produces. Now, suppose you receive orders for 4 sets of Camry. What does V mean? Vios, right? So another Toyota model, and R, Toyota's RAV, RAV, you might have heard, also very popular car. But Camry is like the bestseller sedan, right? So ever. So you have 4 Camrys, 2 Vios, and 2 RAVs. They are very different models. They're all Toyota models, but they are very different cars. Luxury sedan versus simple point A to point B car, and then this rather sporty mid-size SUV kind of RAV car. Now, the usual way of economic production is to say that you produce all the 4 Camrys in one go, in one batch. Correct or not? Yeah. Produce all of these because you got to configure the Toyota factory production line into various settings so that it is, the robots, the mechanics, and whatever it is are tuned and configured for producing Camry, the luxury sedan. Yeah, and then the Vios, and then the RAV. Of course, the suppliers should also be informed of this configuration so that they remember just in time. So Toyota imposes this requirement. I don't want to say enforce, but then it is also enforced, right? So imposes this requirement, telling the suppliers, hey, you know what? Supply to me 4 sets of leather luxury seats for Camry, followed by 2 for Vios, the usual normal synthetic leather type, and then the semi, synthetic leather seats, and so on for RAV. This would be the cost-effective way. I'm sure everyone understands, right? Because once you have configured everything, the fixed cost of setup, long setup time, long preparation time, they are then fully utilized into producing quantity. Now, obviously, it's not going to be 422. It's going to be maybe 40, 25, and then 30, something like that. Yeah. But I don't want to type so many letters, which will swam out the main idea. The main idea is traditionally, this is the kind of the best way, or economically, the best ROI way, the most cost efficient way. But Heijun Car says no. Why? Because any other way is going to cost more, correct? But Toyota says no. We want to mix them up so that we get CCVR and CCVR. We kind of like mince it up, chop, 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 then remix everything so that at any given fraction of the production process or sequence of cars being produced, we get a rough representative ratio to the demand. So the demand is 4 to 2 to 2. So if you kind of pick the first 4 cars, you also get 2 to 1 to 1, which is the exact ratio. So you try to match as exactly as possible. And obviously, in real life, it may be 2 to 1 to 0.5 or something like that, right? So there may be some decimal places here and there, but it's okay. The idea is that Heijun Car says the idea is to mix it up, to mince up the ratio so that at any smaller fraction, it also itself represents roughly the global ratio. That's interesting, right? Why would one do it this way? Because obviously any other way to sequence these letters like CCVR is going to increase the cost. So Heijun Car says, yes, I am trading the cost efficiency. That means in Heijun Car, cost efficiency is down. I'm trading it off for better response time. And this is the benefit. Toyota has enough experience to know that, yes, we are selling cars, right? We are not selling some sort of a fashion that goes out of fashion very soon. However, we also know that our customers, they may change their mind. So for example, due to the relatively long lead time, there is a placement of order till the car distributor or the customer gets the car. There is going to be some 2 weeks, 1 month wait, right? If it is fast enough. During that time, anything can happen to the demand. Not that Toyota wants to cancel the order, but customer may want to cancel the order, right? Customer may say last minute that, I'm sorry, my business is bad. I thought I could afford a Camry. Now I don't think I even want to buy a car now, right? So I'm sorry, I need to cancel the order. I understand you're going to confiscate my deposit of $1,000. Okay, fine. But then in terms of production, if you do it this way, and if originally there were 4 cars, now due to cancellation because of financial crisis, right, that affects the whole region, due to changes in policy, or there will be additional charges to cars in Singapore, for example, due to whatever reasons, right? It affects a whole segment of customers. Then you may have 4 Camry down to 2, or even down to 1. Then you're in trouble because in a batch, remember, it cannot be stopped. The whole batch has to go through the production before you can change the production line to the Vios and then change it again to the RAV. In other words, you are highly rigid. You are unable to respond to the changes in demand. So the response time in a very rigid, cost-effective, cost-efficient batch processing mode will be very bad. Response time will be very bad. Therefore, in such a situation, the car distributors will have very stringent legal contract, right? That customer, you cannot renege halfway. If you do that, you're going to pay the full price, or else we'll see you in court, right? Something very stringent, something very unfriendly, something very imposing on the customer. And despite that, if customer has no money to pay, they will have no money to pay. You can sue the customer, but the customer, due to bad economic climate, his own business is going bankrupt. So sue if you want, but you can't recover. So in the end, Toyota loses, customer loses, and the goodwill relationship sours, right? And even in future, the customer recovers. Goodbye Toyota, right? He will not use the profit to buy Toyota again. And I had this terrible experience. And imagine the next generation. The father will tell the son and the daughter, uh, Daddy, why aren't you buying a Toyota? My friends all love Toyota. They say it's a very good car. No, never buy Toyota, right? I'm going to buy a BMW, right? Totally switching away from Toyota. Right? So you want goodwill, you want, but at the same time you don't want it to be so costly to you to maintain that good relationship, to have a good response time. So how do you do it? Toyota says we found a way. It's called Heijun Car. Heijun Car. Yeah. So that is to ensure quality at source. Always remember what's it trying to do is to ensure at the source we are producing quality. We are having quality in terms of uh, managing our costs, right? We are trading off. We are not saying we are super expensive now. We are just saying we are less ideal, but not extremely high cost. What we get back, however, is a tremendously good ability to adapt to last minute changes in the demand. Oh, right. So you and I are not in the car industry. Or I don't know, maybe you are, but I'm not in the car industry. We don't know why or how or to what extent customers will want to change their demand. Is it true? Is it that customers will cancel their order or double their orders, right? From Middle East, the the Arab business CEO might say, "Oh, now I need sorry, I need to change my order. I earlier ordered 10 Alphard, the big passenger carrier, right? Very luxurious carrier. Now, because we sold more oil and oil prices are up, I need to order 30 Alphas. Can you do that?" Right. And if you are unable to sell because you have, sorry, we can only produce 10 and deliver 10 now. If you want additional 20, please wait for 6 months. Then you are gone, right? So maybe you will then invite the Arab big CEO to cancel the order and then switch all the 30 demand to some other brands who are able to respond to that. So the ability to adapt to changes, whether it's increase, doubling, or decrease, halving, or cancel outright, is super important, says Toyota. So we better take it as is. Right. So in some Western books, they would just call it the mixed model assembly. But that's got to do with the factory itself. Are you a mixed model factory? Right? Are you able to produce multiple models? Yes, no? Yeah, that's your capability, right? Heijun Car is the concept, the thinking, the mixture. Like, can you jumble it up? Yeah. Right. So jumbling it up is a scheduling kind of thing, right? So let's schedule to produce CCVR instead of CCCC. So that is more like the thinking. However, it is so closely connected that you cannot have one without the other, right? You cannot say I want Heijun Car, but your factory is not a mixed model assembly. Then you're always producing Camry. Then what's there to mix, right? Yeah. So that's why they are often confused together. But no, they are slightly different. So when it's your turn to recommend John, the EV production factory, for better responses to customer changes, right? You want to say John, the EV factory, should practice Heijun Car with a mixed model assembly factory and implement the leveling of production load using Heijun Car thinking and methodology. And the fourth point, and what is it for? Remember, it is again tied to having quality at source. Born with quality, born with the DNA of quality on birth, not after you have produced the flow unit, the product, then fix it, then realize that it's wrong, then change it. So all these are 4 ways. We basically have one whole big slide on Kaizen later on. So, but then quickly, what is Kaizen? Kaizen means improvement, literally, but the stronger emphasis is on continuous. One-off improvement, who doesn't know, right? This place is dirty, so sweep, clean it. But when the boss is not around, it gets dirty again, and nobody cares. If boss is not around, nobody cares. And that is not Kaizen. That's not Kaizen. That's just like afraid of boss syndrome, right? Yeah. So Kaizen is continuous at all levels. The worker sees the place is dirty, cannot bear it. I cannot imagine, says the worker, right? I cannot imagine that anyone would allow this state to continue. So he is so, uh, you know, compelled to take up the broom and clean the floor that he organically wants to Kaizen the place. He does that out of his own will. This is Kaizen. Right? This is Kaizen at work. So it is not a movement. It is not a one-off exercise. It is a continuous and grassroots level. At all levels simply means at grassroots levels also. Because if it is only top management, then top management typically will just implement it one-off, measure the effects, see we achieve, and then move on to something else. But Kaizen is a continuous activity, right? So the top has to continuously emphasize that it is very important, and the bottom should do it out of respect for the environment, out of caretaking for the workplace, right? Out of just good will, nature of the character to want a better working environment, a safer, a more productive, a more efficient environment, and kind of like take pride. So how to take pride? I am so proud that because of my workplace, because I clean it. I know it's clean because I clean it. I'm not just hoping that others clean it for me. That kind of talking. Yeah? So it is very hard to mimic. If you check back history, sometime in the when was it? Maybe in the 80s, late 80s, 90s, Singapore saw Japan's Kaizen. Oh, it was like way back, right? It was since World War II, right? So Toyota started then. Saw Kaizen was like so amazing, right? Wow, wonderful. Because everyone wants to improve, not just sweeping the floor, but you do your thing. And if you find something to improve on your part, your kind of work, your scope of uh, 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 skill and whatever it is that you contribute to the production line, and you think this will improve because you have done some mini experiments, right? And it will improve, then do it. Then do it, right? And the supervisor will give you some leeway, right? If you need extra time, if you need a little bit of time off or whatnot to do that or something. Yeah. So all the way up to top management, they will encourage, they will reward to some extent, because you don't want reward to be the motivating factor. Yeah? So all the way to the grassroots level, out of own in it's not inertia, out of own good intention that you want to continuously improve your workplace, and that's Kaizen. So Singapore saw the wonderful outcome or the impact of Kaizen and wanted to copy or learn. So we learned, and we initiated that from top. So the government will tell the CEOs, government-linked companies, and I encourage all the private sectors to do Kaizen, right? It's good and all that, right? So, but then the thing is that we copied the form but not the spirit. So the form is followed, and the top will say, let's do Kaizen. The mid managers will do Kaizen, and then the grassroots will, oh yes sir, we'll do Kaizen. So let us think. We think. I think we thought of three. Let's brainstorm for ideas, right? So we thought of three ideas. We will implement all these three ideas. Then yay, hooray, right? And they are improvements. And the mid-level managers will report. So we have done a lot of Kaizen and we have some results. And of course, then the CEO will be happy and all that. But then after that, gone. So the moment the CEO turns the attention away, the moment top management looks away, uh, back to the same old state, right? And worse, some of these Kaizen, they are good to see on paper as prototype, but there is no funding, there is no change, there is no support, and basically it's just a good show. Okay, in general, of course, there are some success examples, but overall, it kind of died off quietly because it's just not sustained at the organic level. So the moment management never focused on it, things died down. There is no DNA level kind of energy to kind of keep it going. So the uh, that's why it's very important to build into the culture of thinking that everyone helps, everyone can do Kaizen, and that needs to be done continuously. So that's the idea here. So we'll have more to say about Kaizen later on. So I'm just introducing the concept. Next, we want to move on to the 5 S's. And what are these for? To have lean process, to have quality at the source. We have the 5 S's. What are they? Seili, Seiton, Seiso, Seiketsu, and Shitsuke. Shitsuke. No, Shitsuke. Seili is to well, I think the brief one-word translation that also starts with S sometimes is maybe doing a disservice to the true meaning, right, of the original kanji. Here the seili, I have bold printed the true meaning of it. The true meaning of it is not to sort like from smallest to largest. The true meaning is to decide if you should keep or discard the items. Do you keep or do you discard? So, for example, those who have gone through military training or for long adventures that you have to pack a backpack, you will understand the need to really seili in the sense of, do I need this soap? No, I figure I can bathe with powder, so I don't need soap. Because soap is one use. You either use it for bathing and nothing else. Powder, I can use it to just keep myself dry, or I can kind of dust myself in a dust, shower to keep my body clean. And so I rather take powder than soap. Powder is a bit lighter overall than soap too, and I can use a bit of powder and I cannot use a bit of soap without having it wet. So overall, I keep the powder, throw away the soap. So it's this thinking, right? Do you keep the powder or the soap? Yeah. So do I bring a towel, right? A large towel or 2 small towels? Now you figure, well, I may need it in various situations. A large towel, I can only use it for cleaning my body, right? And if you use partially, it's still going to dirty the other part. So after some thinking, I rather take 2 small towels. Lighter, can be separately packed, and one, if I use one, the other one is completely very clean. And for hygiene purposes, it's a very attractive option. So I take 2 smaller towels than one big towel. So all these are the thoughts of thinking whether should I bring or should I not bring. Now, when you go for backpacking, long adventures, right, that you need a big backpack, these thoughts are going to be very impactful right now, yeah, because you make a wrong decision, you end up having to carry a very heavy backpack, bringing a electric oven all the way there into the jungle and back, only to realize there's no electricity, right? And you don't want to waste that electric oven, so you cannot bear to just throw away that electric oven, so you have to haul it back. Yeah, so that would be the price you pay. That's the seili. Seiton is a bit more like sorting, more like tidying things up to make sure they are well placed, well arranged. So again, using the backpack analogy, do you just, after, right, deciding on the 10 things that you want to bring, do you just chug it into your backpack, shove it in, and keep pushing, keep compressing, right, until everything barely fits in, is about to burst? Or do you fold everything neatly, compress out all the air, buy a vacuum seal lock or something to, to really, in a very dense way, uh, compactly, tidy up all your things so that they are very rectangular, very flat, and they can stack on top of each other with as little gap as possible, almost like bricks, right? But that's the net weight that you have to carry. So there's no empty air gaps that will bloat your backpack. If you do it that way, that is Seiton. Right? You are straightening things up to make sure that it is very orderly and your backpack is well organized, right? Or example, the heaviest thing always goes to the bottom, right? Followed by the most frequently used things are near the top. That would be another thinking, right? So there are various sorting criteria up to you, but Seiton has to do with that thinking, the sorting order. Why do you sort things these ways? I mean, we put sort the first way, but actually it's deciding, should you discard or not? Second one is more about arranging, in other words, sorting, straightening, ordering things. Third is to make sure that it is clean, right? That there is no debris, no dirt, right? No, uh, just maybe unhygienic things or eyesore or confusing items and all that stuff to decrease the attention focus. So that's the thinking behind. To shine is just an S word here, but really the idea is to make sure it's very void of all the dirt and debris and small items that are either dangerous or distracting. Okay, so back to the backpack analogy. You want your backpack to be free of sand, right? Imagine your backpack has a lot of already done the Seili and the Seiton, but it's got some sand and mud inside. So end up what happens? It's going to increase the weight. It's going to dirty your hand whenever you go inside and feel for the item you want, and then you will dirty your hand. It's going to, you know, decrease the cleanliness, and therefore, if you carry any biscuit, food, it there's a tendency to contaminate, right? So it's all the bad stuff. So please clean up, right? Remove it of the debris, the dirt, the mud. Better still is to totally drench it, sun dry it, make sure it's super clean, as clean as possible. Then you put things inside. Okay, so that's say so. Of course, in the military, there is also a standard order to do the packing in certain standard way, and that's the whole point, right? So you have a totally Seiton military backpack, and all the backpacks are interchangeable. If you lose your backpack, you can take over some other people's backpack, and you know where things are. Very, very standardized. That brings us to Seiketsu, right? So Seiketsu here, uh, the kanji here appears to be saying the cleanliness, but here it is the standardization. In what sense? That idea that each um, item that has been decided to be in is well packed, but it is also known to be always in that position. So it is about scheduling. So I've bold printed the main idea here. It's about having a schedule. It can be a blueprint of where the item should be. It can be a timetable if it's about if time is involved. So back to the backpack example, it will be like the military style of saying the towel should be on the left side bottom, arranged in a vertical manner. The what you call that, the water bottle, right, is going to be hung on the outside on the right side pin, for example, right? This and that. So all the items has their own schedule of where to go, right? In what position, in what orientation, right? And that is the kind of Seiketsu, the standardization, so that it can be easily repeated. I pass this blueprint of packing order, packing, P-A-C-K, not P-E-C-K. So packing order to all my, adventure group mates, teammates, and everyone will follow that and then do their own packing. So that in terms of emergency, we take out somebody else's backpack, we know exactly where to go to take out the first aid kit, for example, right? We don't have to like empty the whole backpack. Where is it? Where is it? Right? We don't need, and so it's very efficient, very interchangeable, can repeat. I can run an adventure team of one person, myself, two people, or 200 people. I can scale up easily, and I can repeat this next year, right? I can run it for 300 people. I can repeat because it is already in the schedule. So Seiketsu. And Shitsuke is to keep on repeating the whole thing forever and ever, right? By allowing everyone to understand, not just to take the blueprint and execute, but to truly understand that this kind of 5S will help themselves and help everyone else and help the team. So that when you do that, the whole adventure is going to be successful and safe. And year after year after year, all the teams that go will be successful and safe. And that's the kind of longitudinal sustainability that this 5S is thinking about. So I have one example, right, that is kind of a bit more visible, and I want to share it with you. And that's with this toolbox here about the 5S. So look at this toolbox again. Do you like it? It's got all the tools. Not bad, right? Yeah. But you didn't ask me what is it for. Well, I'm going to move myself to the other side so you can see. Yeah. So we have a hammer, a screwdriver, test pen used to test the electricity, a chisel, a drill, right? A grinder, and then an electric saw, some nails, McDonald's wrapping, some sand, ketchup, and oil, some kind of black oil, lubrication oil. So, do you like it? Not bad. It's a toolbox, but something can be improved, right? So let's first practice Seili. Let's decide whether we need it or not, right? So we check, what is this toolbox for? It's actually for minor repair, right? For minor repair works. If it's for minor repair works, we will need most of these, but we don't need a grinder. It's for like fixing a loose screw. It's for chipping off an extra millimeter of wood here and there, that kind of thing. So minor fixing, right? We don't need the grinder. Where's the grinder? Yeah, we don't need the grinder. We don't need the electric saw. This is for big, movements, right? Big fixing of the furniture and various carpentry works. No, we don't need this. So after Seili, we have decided to keep everything, but to remove these two. That is either not appropriate or totally seldom ever used whenever we bring this toolbox out. So why do we carry them around? Right? So we do this Seili. So after Seili, what happens? The two unneeded stuff, they are gone. Do you like this toolbox? Not bad, but can be improved, right? So let's apply Seiton. When we have Seiton, then what happens? We want them to be more organized, right? So that it doesn't look all over the place. And usually my mom will scream if she saw this, right? So let's do a Seiton. Let's make sure all the things are straightened up, right? It can be horizontal, but I think it is for toolbox, it's reasonable to have them all straightened up like this, so that whenever you put your hand inside, to pick up a tool, it is always safe. You're always holding the handle part of that particular tool. So that's nice. Yeah. Do you like this toolbox? I think I'm beginning to like it more, but it still can be improved because we can say so that toolbox, right? Sand is going to make our hand dirty. Ketchup is going to attract ants, right? And the oil, come on, is going to make our hands slippery. Plus, we cannot take food after that. We have to do a thorough cleanup and totally inconvenient and slowing us down, right? So let's do say so. After say so, our toolbox now looks like this. Is it nice? Nice, right? So we start using it and then I put it back. But the next person might not be like us. The next person might just chuck everything in and then bye bye, right? Because that's a temp worker or your friend just borrows this toolbox from you, and then when he returns this back to you, it's so messy, right? And you are a very 5S person. So how do you make sure it's standardized? So we go through the Seiketsu. We draw outlines. So your friend has no excuse to say, I don't know how you like it to be arranged. So please you arrange yourself. Thank you. Bye-bye. Right. So well the outlines are there. Don't tell me you can't tell. Don't tell me you don't know how to fit the the jigsaws into the jigsaw puzzle. It's a game, right? And it's quite fun. So when you have this outline, it's a mechanism. All right. So the outline itself is not the standardization. The outline itself is the tool, right? The mechanism for us to enforce this standardization. So that anyone, come on, I think I can say anyone who knows how to use the tool safely and not hurt himself should be able to recognize, even without instruction and without people telling him, that you should put the tools back this way. Don't you think it is a very simple idea, yet it is so repeatable, so scalable? Now I can lend this toolbox to anyone because now I'm the boss. I am a construction boss and I buy multiple sets of toolboxes that all have this outline, and I can safely let all my workers use, and I know that at the end of the day, the toolbox will come back like this. Right now, yeah, so it's very repeatable, very scalable. And then what happens? Well, I only trained myself. What about others? So we go through the Shizuke so that all my workers, and the workers are now here, right? From the top level supervisors to the mid supervisors to the lead worker to the line workers, junior workers, everyone is involved, right? To know the importance of 5S, to tell everyone that, look, the toolbox is like this. There's a reason why we have the outline and it's not a game. There's a reason why the rest of the area is clean so that even at night with low light conditions in some construction sites, we can feel our way safely. You can move your hand and feel, is this a hammer's handle or a chisel's handle or a screwdriver's handle or a test pen's handle, right? And if you need the drill, just feel further down. You should be holding the handle here, and you are very sure that your hand will not be hurt by one of the sharp edges. See, this is, and then you tell this story for this briefing for all the workers, and you don't rely on telling the top supervisor for them then to brief all the way down, because words will change, meaning will be lost, right? So you want all to be simultaneously hearing this, right? Keep the toolbox clean. If it is clean, everyone gets to enjoy and benefits, right? So that if the top supervisor somehow dirties it, and because I'm high rank, I can do it that way. And then the line worker can say, sorry, supervisor, you didn't clean this properly, right? So everyone gets to check on everyone. Why? Ultimately, it is very important to be both safe and efficient. And all these are not to make more money. Remember, the 5S is part of the quality at source tool, right? The thinking, to make sure that we are born with, right? The moment we start work, we already have quality on hand. We have quality tools, we have quality toolbox on hand the moment we start working. So that's all I have to elaborate on this part of the lesson. Thank you and see you in the next video.